Welcome to the week ahead reading for August 24th through 30th. Today we're using the Moon deck. The first visual I'm seeing is an iguana. It's laying out in the sun. I'm getting an emphasis on all of the rays of sun shining on it. It's like a solar panel. It's just absorbing everything coming at it. And it's actually to the point of it getting crispy. Like normally an iguana, like it wants to be in the heat, it wants to be warmed, but it's actually too much exposure. And is this exposure to something that we think is a good thing because it's the sun, something that usually lights us up? Is this about indulgence? Capital YES for some people, there's an indulgence piece. Next thing that came in was, we're toast. Is this about our day-to-day decision making or something being fed to us from the collective? The latter. Okay. Messaging, content, social media, to maybe a lesser degree information. So it's messaging rather than about information and content. So maybe we think we're learning something, we think we're being informed, but I keep getting jumped around to, it's like when we're just sitting in consumption mode, we just have the TV on, we are scrolling on our phone at the same time. It's more about the consumption piece than us actually getting something substantive out of it. I'm reading these articles and I'm listening to these podcasts and I'm watching this reporting, and that you're getting good information, but actually you're just engaging in the process of indulgence of the consumption rather than really receiving. It's like the state of receiving. Normally, when we talk about that in the intuitive sense, when you are receiving, it means that you are open, you are receptive to insights, wisdom, points of reflection, allowing you to introspect, allowing you to understand your path, your steps, and your way forward. And when we're inundated, we actually, if we sit back and think about, well, what's everything that you watched and read just in the last day, let alone the last week? What did you learn that you can do? If you're in consumption mode, it means that you haven't actually learned something, quote, of substance that you can then do that becomes actionable. We're just the iguana roasting, now sizzling in place in the sun. We have the resistance card. I meet resistance with kindness. This normally comes up when we are talking about dealing with discomfort. So in this situation, the iguana is uncomfortable because it's being roasted when, in theory, it shouldn't be. There's nothing objectively uncomfortable for the average person of sitting cross-legged. But the second that you start leaning forward, all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, my back is tight, my hamstrings are tight, everything hurts. And it's activating something that doesn't feel so great. Receiving information, quote, information. Consuming might be the passive pose. We're just sitting there cross-legged. I'm doing the work. It's like, no, we're not. We're just sitting there. Versus if we actually start to lean forward, we're in active engagement with the material, with understanding the personal impact. This then impacts us. When we as individuals are leaning in, looking closer, inspecting, asking questions, and then saying, what do? I just keep getting over and over again that it's about action. We've been a little too passive. Maybe it's just some period of time. Maybe it's only in a certain area of life or for a certain topic, but we're being asked to lean in and find the thing that we can actually do and do the thing, even if it feels uncomfortable. The with kindness piece is cutting yourself some slack. So we don't want to just go forward into this fold and like snap our back. You can only go so far at a time. It becomes incremental action that you keep leaning in, you keep relaxing, you're trusting the process, you're working with it, but you're understanding your own limits. We're not just picking, here's an action I could do. I'm going to run for office tomorrow. And you go, well, actually, there would be a lot of steps that take me to get there, or I need funding, or I need to build my network. So maybe the better starting point is to not do that. And again, this isn't to everyone, I'm just giving an example, is finding a candidate that you like and supporting them, or volunteering and going door to door. And that's easier. It's a step that's closer. It's a little bit more accessible. It's a little bit not less challenging, because it's not about the challenge, but it's understanding, I keep getting, knowing our limits, not trying to go from 0 to 60, but try 0 to 10, try 0 to 30, depending on the task and the level of difficulty and where you're at in your life and your resources, your bandwidth, your lifestyle, apparently, as well. So that messaging I just received feels like a general mission for us this week. It's a thought exercise. It's more than a thought exercise, because we're trying to take action. But it's a change that we are working on. This is a beginning, a chapter. We're in eclipse season. It's something that we are doing to try to develop a new beginning for us, a new approach. And then I know we have a second card here. What else do we need to know before getting to that? That we're going to have to wait. Interesting. So when we have the resistance piece, we're talking about you take, it's the breath. So you take the first lean forward, and then you're just going to have to breathe. This is the waiting before you can lean in again. You can go deeper into the pose in this analogy. And so we're going to have to get comfortable with waiting. This isn't coming across like it's an extended period of time, like you have to wait months and months or years and years. It's just periods of waiting. I mentioned before, incremental progress. It's this idea of you move a little, what is it, like red light, go, or whatever that kid's game is, where you like red light, green light, that one, where you start to go and then you stop. And so you're only going a little bit at a time, and you do have to have the pause, and you have to look around. And it feels like it's more than just checking to make sure that you're on the right path. It's more that, I don't know, I just keep getting like waiting is part of the process. Like we can't have the expectation that anything in life ever is a 0 to 60. It's just, there's always going to be some sort of even if it's right at the end, you go 0 to 59, and you have to wait at 59 for a day, a week, 6 months, and then you get that last number. So it's knowing that that's how things work. Because like that is the lesson, is understanding that nothing is ever going to get fixed overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day. But it's the continued pressure, the pressure that we apply, resistance, comes from tension, comes from an action. It's acting upon to build the tension, and then getting comfortable with that new version of tension. And then you can keep going and keep going, and then having a controlled release versus the snapback, because we don't want to shock to the system. And the system in this case, we're talking about things in the collective and what's going on in our relationship with it. We have the heal card. I allow stillness to heal and reveal. So basically what I just said, which is, this is kind of like the sacred pause. This is really lit up because it's a dark, dreary day. This is about the sacred pause. You just sit and you wait. That healing happens in the waiting. What I was exactly just talking about 1 second ago. So the combination that we have here is we're leaning forward, we're taking the action, we are getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. And while we're sitting in the waiting of that discomfort, so again, we're pairing these visuals together, that's where the magic happens. That's where the information comes in. I was explaining this before. When we have the pause, that's when we can receive. That is really what this card is talking about, is when we're still. This doesn't have to mean like meditation, it could be, but when you're still, when you're not rushing around, when you aren't on your phone when you're waiting in line to get your coffee or something, that you can then have something come through, something that you learn, something that you see, something you come to understand, an idea that comes through, or an insight that comes through, maybe actually intuitively, or a sign. Something can be revealed to you, but nothing can be revealed when it's not even about looking for it, but nothing can be revealed if you're just not looking, if your eyes are covered, your ears are covered, you're not attuned to anything. So this helps you with attunement. You can think about here as well. We're starting to be much more aware of ourselves when we do this. When we do something that's uncomfortable, we become hyper aware. Like, oh, okay, I don't know how this feels. Can I get out of this? Do we want to do something different? Like we get connected to our body actually in a very different way when we feel uncomfortable. We start noticing things, which actually is a positive, which is why we want to be kind to ourselves through that. And then when we're in that awareness, the hyper awareness of that discomfort, what comes up? That's what we want to pay attention to. And not rushing out. I was mentioning before about building the tension, and then you have to release slowly once you get to that peak point. We're not trying to snap things back. We want to embrace the stillness, embrace the suspension, understand it, understand what we need to do next. And then we can have the exhale, then we can have the release. So yeah, as far as our recap goes, it seems like what we're receiving this week is more of high-level instructional guidance, something to work on this week. It's like our mission, our task, our to-do. And in this case, we had the visual of an iguana that's actually roasting in the sun. We are in a state of indulgence, too much of a good thing, where we are overly consuming. We are consuming rather than receiving. We want to start looking at the media sources, the social media platforms. It felt like this was more digital rather than conversations that we're having with people, but where quote information is coming in and start trying to see ourselves in it. How does that relate to me? What could I do? If I'm not learning something actionable that I could do, then maybe I should stop listening, listen less often, or just engage more of my critical thinking skills to figure out, well, what can I do about that? We're looking for those instructions to actually figure out where we want to go. Otherwise, all we're doing is just having noise. It's like having a loudspeaker just blasting in our face. And it's like, okay, well, then what? All we're going to do is fry our ears. So the cards that we had were the resistance card, I meet resistance with kindness. We are leaning in. We're looking more closely. We are getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. And that discomfort might be, well, what do I do? And let me try this step, not 0 to 60, but 0 to 10, 0 to 30. Moving forward just a little bit, you can only go so far. You pause, you wait, you see what comes up. Okay, well, what do I do next? You lean in more and you keep going. It's an evolution of getting comfortable with not everything being a rush process and going very much intertwined with this same idea. We had our second card, which was the heal card. I allow stillness to heal and reveal. And this is the sacred pause. This is when we are in that breath. The breath is held or the breathing is happening because the movement has stopped. We've moved forward, we've leaned in, we're pausing, we're aware, we're hyper aware because we feel uncomfortable. We feel attention. This feels different. This is new. As we are hyper aware, we see what comes up. What information is revealed to us? What do we need to learn about what to do next so we can lean in more? So we are going back and forth between these two, and we are learning how to navigate this flow, to continue it, to master it, to bounce from one to the other, understanding, reframing our expectations that this is how things actually work. It's incremental progress. It's not everything works out all at once overnight. We jump from A to Z. We have a process. We take some steps forward. We don't have to take steps back. We just might not move for a little bit. And then we can move again once we learn what to do next, what we can do next. We as an individual, what's the small thing or medium-sized thing that I can do that will have some sort of an impact, that will move the needle in some way. And we just continue doing that over and over and over again. There's not too much as far as the visuals go here, other than the fact that we have a new moon and we have a full moon, which I think is great because we have yet another eclipse this week, our second eclipse, which involves this whole overlap here. What's going on with the luminaries? The eclipse that is happening this week happens to be a full moon eclipse. So this is leaning into the second card, which may suggest to us this is not the most important work because, as we've talked about, they are collaborating in tandem. But that this is the peak. These are the really important moments when we have an eclipse. It's insights, it's information about beginnings and endings. New moon, full moon. It's about a cycle. It's about a repetition. Things start, things end, things are impermanent. Getting uncomfortable is perfect for an eclipse. With an eclipse, because things are beginning and ending, and also energetically we could feel off, we have to get uncomfortable with what's not comfortable, which is exactly what we were just talking about. So we're dealing with the resistance. Okay, what is stepping forward? And especially because this is happening in Pisces, this is a sign that on the low vibrational side may want to run away and hide. But we're not supposed to run away and hide here. We're supposed to lean in, and we're supposed to maybe even use our intuition, which works for Pisces, to receive. To receive, even if it feels overwhelming because it feels like too much. And that's part of the lesson for Pisces in general, is because we're connected to everything, we could feel inundated. And that is where the overindulgence is happening. We're trying to connect to the high vibrational energy of Pisces, not the low vibration, which is the overwhelm. Now, to go into the day by day astrology of the week, on Monday, we start off, we're already in a Sagittarius moon, which is exactly what we're talking about. What action are we taking? And then on Tuesday, around 5 a.m. Eastern time, we have the moon going into Aquarius. This is collective action. This is making change. So we're thinking about what's going on with other people. What's a thing I can do? Perfect. And a few hours later, around 7 a.m. Eastern time, we have Mercury going into Virgo. Our mind is shifting into service. It's thinking about improvement. What's an improvement I could make in myself that I can make in others? I didn't even look at this ahead of time. This is great. No changes on Wednesday. And then Thursday, we have a Mercury Cazimi. This is a day you want to circle on your calendar. This is starting around 1 p.m. Eastern time. So it overlaps into Friday. So it's a Thursday and a Friday situation. It could just be full day Thursday, depending on your time zone. So definitely check that. The wisdom that comes in, the illumination. We are taking the action, which is everything we talked about Monday through Wednesday. And then something lights us up, something inspires us. We have an aha moment. That is what a Mercury Cazimi is. Maybe there's breaking news. So how do we deal with that? We've moved forward a little bit. We're in the pause. Breaking news happens. What's our next response? All works, all works. And then same day, we have the moon going into Pisces because it's preparing to enter that eclipse portal, which happens just after midnight on Friday. Now going into Saturday around 10:40 p.m. Eastern time, we have the moon going into Aries, so also bringing it back to ourselves. What's the thing that I'm going to do? What's the action that I'm going to take? So I do love this backdrop. I think it works incredibly well with the messaging that we had for this week. And we could harness it. We can use each of these transitions to help us move from one phase, one iteration into the next. And then, of course, just as a reminder, definitely check out my Astro Weather report. My second video has a few different transits in it, including a deep dive into both eclipses. Whenever we have an eclipse happening during the whole season, but especially right around those eclipse days, our energy could be really, really impacted. And that might also be why we need to kind of lean in and pause. We're not rushing. We can't rush because we might feel gassed. We might be exhausted. And then we have to be still. We might just have to rest to a certain degree. Just see what comes up. Write down any dreams that you're having or thoughts that you're having or ideas that you're having, because we have a Mercury Cazimi and we have an eclipse happening the next day. Write down anything that comes up. You don't have to do anything about it right now, but our intention will be to do something about it later because we do want to take action. But the big thing with eclipses is they're not really the best time. And we're going to have a void moon. That's a whole other thing. We're going to have a void moon right after this eclipse for the next few days after. More details about that. I do have a video on my YouTube page where I talked about all of the Hellenistic void moon periods for the year. We had 3 in January and we had 2 in August. And the second one happens, well, actually, both of them in August happen right after each eclipse. It just happened to work out that way. So there's yet another reason why, for the eclipse purposes and for the void moon purposes, we're not energetically set up to have a new venture start and have it be successful. So just write the stuff down, write the ideas down, and we can start putting those big ideas into action later. This week is the last full week of August for the week ahead readings, which means right after this is coming out, this month is coming to a close and we're going to be heading into September. So that means I'm going to have a whole new batch of astro weather reports for September, as well as my month ahead forecast. So you can go back and listen to August. It's a great time to start reflecting on how this month went, and then be on the lookout on Insight Timer for my September track, which will drop the day before. So it drops the day before each month starts. And don't forget to check out my upcoming classes on Insight Timer. You can go to my website, my events page, I have a link there, or just head straight over to Insight Timer, or go to my Instagram where I have a list of some of the upcoming classes to see what I'm going to be teaching on in September. Last housekeeping note, in case you're not aware, if you're on YouTube, then you may see this in my feed and maybe you haven't clicked on them. But I do have a podcast. You can listen wherever you find podcasts. So on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Amazon Music, wherever you want to go. Another resource and learning opportunity that I have this season was all about lore and storytelling. So I talked about 2 different ancient cultures, and I, at the point of this coming out, will have just started and announced the 3rd and final culture for the season. And I also have run a book club throughout the season. Those are video podcasts. You can watch the video on Spotify, but you can listen everywhere else. After each culture, I sit down and do a forecast reading. So you can find those in those episodes. And then we also have a 2026 forecast that we had done at the end of last year that was speaking to the entire year. So if you want to find those, check out the links or look on my YouTube channel for the podcast section that has Synergy to Synastry.